World War II was a global conflict of unprecedented scale and devastation. It was a war that touched nearly every corner of the globe, leaving no nation untouched by its far-reaching consequences. It raged from 1939 to 1945, engulfing nations across continents. The sheer magnitude of the conflict was unlike anything the world had ever seen before. The war pitted the Axis powers, led by Germany, Italy, and Japan, against the Allies, primarily Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union. These alliances would shape the course of the war and the strategies employed by each side. Fueled by aggressive expansionism, ideological clashes, and unresolved tensions from World War I, this conflict would reshape the geopolitical landscape and leave an enduring mark on human history. The war's impact would be felt for generations to come. The war's origins can be traced back to the aftermath of World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed harsh penalties on Germany. These penalties created a climate of economic hardship and national humiliation. The treaty fostered resentment and instability in Germany, paving the way for the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. Hitler's promises of revival and strength resonated with a desperate population. Hitler's ideology, rooted in nationalism, militarism, and racial superiority, sought to establish German dominance in Europe and beyond. His vision of a new world order was both ambitious and terrifying. In 1939, Germany's invasion of Poland marked the beginning of World War II. This aggressive move shattered the fragile peace in Europe. The invasion triggered a chain reaction, drawing Britain and France into the conflict in defense of Poland. The world was now on the brink of a full-scale war. As the war progressed, it spread rapidly, engulfing Europe, North Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. The global scale of the conflict brought unprecedented challenges and horrors. Stalingrad, a bustling industrial city on the banks of the Volga River, became the focal point of one of the most pivotal battles in World War II. Its strategic significance lay in its location and industrial capacity. The city, named after Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, was a vital transportation hub, connecting the resource-rich regions of the Caucasus with the industrial heartland of Russia. Stalingrad's factories churned out tanks, weapons, and ammunition, making it a crucial asset to the Soviet war effort. Its capture would have been a significant blow to the Soviet Union, potentially crippling its ability to resist the German advance. Moreover, seizing the city that bore Stalin's name would have been a major propaganda victory for Hitler, striking a symbolic blow against the Soviet leader and demoralizing the Soviet people. In June 1941, Hitler unleashed Operation Barbarossa, a massive invasion of the Soviet Union, breaking the non-aggression pact he had signed with Stalin 2 years earlier. This marked the beginning of a brutal and extensive campaign that would change the course of World War II. The German offensive, driven by a belief in Soviet weakness and a desire for Lebensraum, living space, in the East, initially caught the Soviets off guard. The sheer scale and speed of the German advance were unprecedented. German forces, spearheaded by their formidable panzer divisions, made rapid gains, advancing deep into Soviet territory. The initial weeks saw significant territorial gains and the encirclement of large Soviet forces. However, the German advance was met with fierce resistance from the Red Army and the harsh realities of the Russian landscape and climate. The Soviets began to regroup and mount a more organized defense. As the campaign progressed, the initial momentum of the German offensive began to wane. The harsh winter, muddy terrain, and stretched supply lines slowed their advance significantly. The vast distances, logistical challenges, and the resilience of the Soviet people took their toll on the German war machine. The initial optimism of a quick victory faded as the reality of a prolonged conflict set in. By the summer of 1942, Hitler's attention turned towards the south, aiming to seize the oil fields of the Caucasus and capture Stalingrad, a city that had become both a strategic and symbolic target. This shift in focus marked a critical juncture in the campaign. The stage was set for one of the bloodiest and most consequential battles in human history. The Battle of Stalingrad would become a turning point, symbolizing the fierce determination of the Soviet Union and the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany's ambitions in the East. Section 4. Clash of Ideologies, Clash of Titans. The Battle of Stalingrad was more than just a military confrontation. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle between two totalitarian regimes, each vying for supremacy. This battle was not just about territory, it was about proving the superiority of one ideology over the other. On one side stood the Nazi war machine, driven by Hitler's ambition for world domination and fueled by the twisted ideology of racial superiority. Hitler's vision was to create a new world order, one that was dominated by the Aryan race. The German forces, well-equipped and experienced, were determined to capture Stalingrad, a city that had become an embodiment of Soviet resistance. The capture of Stalingrad was seen as a key to breaking the Soviet spirit and gaining control over the Eastern Front. On the other side stood the Red Army, defending their homeland with unwavering tenacity. The Soviet soldiers were fighting not just for their country, but for their very way of life, their families, and their future. Despite suffering heavy losses in the initial stages of Operation Barbarossa, the Soviet people rallied behind their leader, Joseph Stalin, determined to repel the invaders. Stalin's call for a great patriotic war resonated deeply with the Soviet populace, igniting a fierce determination to defend their motherland. The defense of Stalingrad became a symbol of Soviet resilience, a fight for survival against an enemy that threatened their very existence. The city's ruins bore witness to the ferocity of the battle and the unyielding spirit of its defenders. The battle also marked a clash of military doctrines and leadership styles. The strategies employed by both sides were a testament to their respective military philosophies and the adaptability of their commanders. The German army, known for its blitzkrieg tactics and operational brilliance, faced a Red Army that, while initially outmaneuvered, demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. The urban warfare in Stalingrad presented unique challenges that tested the limits of both armies. The Soviet commanders, learning from their early setbacks, adopted a more flexible and determined approach, employing scorched earth tactics and exploiting the urban environment to their advantage. Their ability to adapt and innovate under pressure was crucial in turning the tide of the battle. Section 5. A city transformed Stalingrad under siege.